Hey everyone, my name is TricksterShadow, and I have some really good news. So, if you guys are interested in VHS, you probably know that VHS has been down for the past 3 months. I believe tomorrow, as the time of this recording, it will have been down for 100 days. I went down initially because somebody DDoSed the servers, and they decided to keep it down. Even after fixing the DDoSing issue, they decided to keep it down to just go through the entire game, make sure that all the security issues that could be possibly exploited are resolved, and to patch them up and make the game a little bit more tight. And it appears that they have done that because they have announced today, the 26th, that they are coming back tomorrow, May 27th. And a few bullet points of what's going on, just to keep you guys in the loop. So the closed beta is coming back. It's not going immediately back into early access. That makes sense because they want to make sure they're turning the servers back on. They're having people play it. They want to make sure the servers, of course, are stable, and they want to make sure everything, of course, is functioning right. They're no longer accepting any more closed beta signups. Of course, the login functionality on their website has been removed. They're no longer using their own launcher. They're doing the closed beta through Steam now. They're going to be launching the game when it goes into early access on Steam and Epic, not on their own launcher as well. So just those two platforms currently. So if you previously had a key for the closed beta, you will be getting sent a key for this closed beta on Steam. If you did not get a key from the closed beta, you're not going to be getting one in the next few days. As far as I know, I don't know how many more waves they're going to send out to the people that did sign up previously. I don't know if they're going to be sending out any waves at all, or if they're going to be sending a couple. I have no idea currently. I didn't read anything in terms of them sending out more waves. But what could be like interpreted from them no longer having more signups is that they don't think they need many more beta testers, which is interesting because a lot of people are wondering when early access is going to be. So, no idea when early access is going to come out, by the way, but it's an interesting thing to think about. And another very interesting thing, of course, is going to be this. Oh, and also, if you had a key, of course, like you're going to be getting a Steam key tomorrow in the next few days. If you don't get a Steam key tomorrow, don't worry too much about it because they're going to be sending out thousands of keys to everybody that had previously had access to the closed beta. I just checked their Discord for any updates. But when they announced that they're coming back, they also gave us a huge article talking about all the changes they've implemented. And so I'm going to go through that with you guys. It's just going to be me reading them. And also, if you guys probably don't know, I actually have tested some of these changes. They invited me and a few other people to play test and find bugs. And there were quite a bit of bugs. It was actually a good idea that they did it because a lot of bugs were fixed. And I'm really happy that they did. I wish more companies would do that. I wish they would take like a small group of people to hammer out bugs before it like gets out to everybody. And but yeah, a lot of bugs were fixed. Of course, there's probably going to be more bugs. There's always going to be bugs in games. But I've tested out some of these changes, and I'm going to go through, tell you what I think about them. And yeah, let's just go through it. So they say, hey, all, we're back and thrilled to be. I want to reiterate our appreciation for the community's support. We can't wait to see you in games starting tomorrow. We have a lot to announce, so let's dive right in. Video Horror Society. As you probably noticed, the game's name and logo have changed. Due to trademark-related circumstances, we are unable to obtain the rights in all territories and wanted the name to be consistent globally. We will officially be known as Video Horror Society going forward. So, same acronym, but they can't officially call themselves VHS. And that, like, what they're saying is just the trademark. What I'm guessing, and of course this is just me guessing, it could be wrong, but what I'm guessing has happened is like maybe there's like one country like Japan or India or some country where just the trademark laws didn't allow them to have the name VHS, and so in an effort of having it just be universally like recognized as a single video game name instead of it being like VHS everywhere else besides one country, they're just rebranding to Video Horror Society, which isn't really that big of a deal. It is what it is. It sucks, but it's the same game, so not really that big of a deal. But yeah, Video Horror Society now. Beta relaunch. Key redistribution for those who had previously played in the beta has begun, so watch your inbox. This will be beginning the morning of the 27th. Really, like, I'm guessing anytime after like 9 a.m. Pacific time on the 27th, so keep an eye out after that. Also, of course, pay attention to their Discord. There have been a few questions in regard of the return of the beta as well as the migration to Steam, so let's get to it. Will the keys be sent out in waves? Kind of. So they're aiming to redistribute the beta keys as quickly as possible, though due to a large volume of keys being sent out, it'll take a few days to fully redistribute them. If you don't get your key right away, don't panic, it's on the way. Will your progress carry over? No. Paraphrase, no. The progress is not carrying over. And then after the beta is done, even on Steam, it's going to be reset as well. So, but yeah, the progress from the previous closed beta, not transferring to this closed beta, and the progress from this closed beta is not going to transfer to early access. How will you apply for the beta? Since removing the login functionality of the website, many of you were asking about how to apply for beta keys. As we approach our early access launch, we are no longer accepting applications for the beta. Those who have participated in previous closed beta testing will be invited back soon, and those who have not will be able to play VHS in early access. So if you did not get a key, even if you have signed up, you're sadly not going to be getting access to the closed beta. But when early access rolls around, everybody's going to be able to play. So, on top of the massive change list found below, all accounts will come preloaded with the finger guns emote as a thank you for all the continued support and patience during the downtime. The emote will be default on all accounts going forward. More new content will be available once we're in early access. So for those of you that, because I've seen a few people saying this, oh, like they don't have like a bunch of like new content. What's going on? It's a closed beta. Closed betas really, in essence, are just trying to make sure that the base game is solid. And then early access is when they start adding in more content until they feel like they've added enough content to where they can consider it a finished product, and then they'll fully launch it. So early access, they don't even consider the game finished when they go into early access, of course, because of the name. So when early access hits, that's when you'll start seeing more new content. But yeah, this is the emote that they're going to be giving out everybody as a thank you for sticking through everything. And then what is new in the patch? So we're going to read this as a quote from Jeff, which is the lead gameplay programmer in charge of gameplay design. During our downtime, we took the opportunity to review a lot of player feedback, our analytics database, and stream VODs. In addition to new game options, HUD additions, and other quality of life improvements, we've also made several adjustments to gameplay balance you'll find described in our change notes. Our goal is to create a fun and competitive experience for all skill levels and playstyles. Some mechanics ended up being stronger or weaker than intended, but also some were as fun to interact with as we'd have liked. We strive with our perks, mutations, and weapon mods to provide interesting choices and avoid outliers that are either always or never taken. Makes sense. We are very grateful to the community for being so engaged and communicative with us, and we hope to see some of your feedback is reflected in what we've done. Even if a suggestion wasn't taken up yet, know that we are listening and try to weigh every modification with due care and consideration. So even if like your change that you like touted like didn't happen, they most likely did consider it. They most likely did like test it out, and there's probably some reason why they didn't go through with it. We'd love to hear from you and look forward to seeing how these changes impact your games. Jeff. Oh Lord, here we go. Terminology changes. The noise notification, station icon highlight, and crafting speed penalty status caused by the teens failing a crafting timing minigame is now referred to as a blunder in game descriptions. The movie system added an infinite procedural challenge system, Forgotten Films. This feature is unlocked per character when their classic movie trilogy is fully completed. So, if you guys don't know how the movie system works, it's essentially just challenges. And when you complete a trilogy of movies, then you get a special cosmetic. And then you can do like the classic, you can do the extended, and you can do the director's cut. They're essentially giving you just like infinite challenges so that you can continually grind even after you complete all of the challenges. Just give you more challenges so you can keep on earning currency, essentially. So if you just still want to be playing that one character, you don't want to play anybody else, you can still earn like a decent amount of point income. Oh, my background changed. Oh my god, it's a different space thing. In addition to the movie changes, they replaced the challenges to escape a long chase with a monster with a task to be chased by the monster for a certain amount of time. This is like one thing that people were like really confused about. People didn't really like. The teen movie task to claim the rift yourself has been replaced with a task for any team teen to claim the rift, which is very good because that was one challenge that was a really big pain to get. It's still going to be a hard challenge in order to complete, but at least now you won't be like, oh, that person captured before I could get there. Now if anybody captures it at all on your team, then you'll get progress, which is very good. And then the monster movie task to hit the teens after being revealed by the rift has been replaced with the task to hit the teen while the rift is formed. So just when the rift capture point spawns in, if you hit somebody, then you'll get progress for your challenge instead of the previous. And then plagues are the prize modifiers, the things that you can bring into the match, offerings. Some of you may know them from DBD. That's what they're called in DBD, but they're called prizes in VHS and Video Horror Society. They're changing the plague of power. Now it works on a flat cooldown recovery boost to all monster powers rather than a boost that is relative to the cooldown power. As part of the change, the boost was reduced from 350% to 175% flat. Overall, these changes should provide a larger effect for shorter cooldown powers and a smaller effect for longer cooldowns. And so this makes sense. I think what they wanted is not to have it be like a Dollmaster teleports, uses the plague, instantly gets their teleport back, and then teleports again. I think they wanted to try to reduce that while still giving like benefit to it. They didn't want it to be like completely like omega powerful. So it's understandable why they're changing that. Distribution, security, and social systems. Made significant improvements to security of backend infrastructure. This is what they've been doing this entire time, in addition to developing the game in other ways. Added Epic and Steam account support and integration. Sunsetted the Video Horror Society launcher and the Video Horror Society website account systems. Added the ability to download and play the game via Steam and Epic launchers. Added the ability to invite and play friends from Epic and Steam simultaneously if you've linked your Steam and Epic. And the in-game voice chat system has been changed to a new service provider. So if you don't know, and again, the closed beta is going to be on Steam, but when it comes into early access, it's going to be on both Steam and Epic. But if you don't know, the voice chat system that was previously used, there'd be a lot of peaking. The microphone quality wouldn't be as good, even when people had really good mics. And this new system, in my opinion, indistinguishable from Discord. So if you've ever used Discord before, I would like mute everybody in Discord. I would get into a game when I was testing this, and I thought that I didn't mute Discord because it just, the quality was so crisp. And so they did a really good job with going to this new system. And of course, there could be bugs, but they'll iron out anything that does come up. But don't like take anything that I say. Whenever I give praise to something they did, it is because I truly believe they deserve the praise for it. But there's most likely going to be bugs because it's still closed beta. All right, front end and menus. The option menus have numerous visual improvements. Added additional settings for HUD visibility and controller preferences. Added the ability for users to set their desired input and output devices and to use separate devices for game audio versus voice chat audio. Very good to have more like audio options. Very, very good. Added different front end color themes for when a teen versus monster is selected. Added additional prize offerings for now available in the Flux. So that is like when you're buying prize offerings for Flux, there's like different types of bundles that you can buy. These aren't loot boxes. You can only buy them through like the currency that you get from grinding. And it's really just, it's just point offerings. That's all it is. The prizes is what I call them. So don't worry, no loot boxes in this game. They said they don't want to do loot boxes. And the artwork of prizes has been updated. Now, general gameplay. Now, this is where we get really interesting. Really, really interesting. It's a big change. Added the super rift mechanic. After the rift is captured by either side, if no monster hits or a weapon strike occurs until the spawning of the next rift, then a super rift will occur instead. If the teens capture the super rift, they will deal a random stigma wound to the monster. Monster will die. And if the monster captures the super rift, they will become enraged and gain vision of the teen's auras for a longer duration than normal. This is aimed at giving an option for players to accelerate the game that has failed to progress for a while. So one of the big problems with VHS when it was back in closed beta is you would sometimes get games where either side does not want to play the game. And they just keep on avoiding each other. And this is an aim to try to make people more aggressive. Now, of course, I think when it comes to the monster, like making it where the monster just takes the stigma damage, really good to see. That is most definitely going to make the monster more aggressive. I don't know how the enraged and like longer vision is going to do like for forcing like the teens, because that will just give you like just flat enrage and you just get vision. We'll see. I think it'll require more testing to see how it really like plays out. But I think this is a good step in the right direction for making matches more engaging, make them more aggressive, and making it where like turtling and just running away and never engaging, spending like 30 minutes chasing somebody that doesn't want to like engage you at all. I think this is a good way of like making people more aggressive, make people like play against each other, make people actually try to see who's the better side. So I do like this change. Although I don't think that it's like I think that this will probably get changed. I don't know. Maybe it won't. But I think it's a good step in the right direction. All right. And then change the audio spatialization algorithm to mix in direct path in addition to portaled path streams to improve positional tracking of sound sources. That is very that is very long-winded. So I'm going to try to explain this through the best way I know how, through Epic Pen. So the previous system of VHS, as I understood it, so let's like imagine there's a room, and there's like a door right here, there's a door right here, and there's a door right here. If let's say there was like somebody right here that was making noises, and then you have another player, they were inside right here, and they heard the noises that the green player is making. The way that the sounds would previously travel is the sounds would previously travel. Let me find a good color for this. Let's just use this. The sounds would previously travel through the doorways. And so you would hear on both sides, like for both of these doors, that somebody is outside. But it was kind of awkward to tell like where exactly pinpoint they were. Now with this new system, it'll still do that, but it'll also give you some feedback through the walls like you would normal, like in real life. Like if somebody's on the other side of a wall, of course you're going to more easily hear them if there's like an opening near you, but you're also going to hear them a little bit through the wall. And so this system not only incorporates the portals, which is what they talked about, but it also includes like direct sound sources, so like going through the wall, you'll be able to hear them a little bit better. So it's an improved sound system. It's very good in practice. I think it was a little bit too good. Like not like it's a problem, but like I was like second guessing myself because I was so used to the old system. I was like, are they actually right there? And yeah, they actually were right there. Very good change. All right, and one thing that's really good with that as well, like an improved audio system, is that when playing Monster, I know if somebody's going to ambush me because the audio is more reliable. And so it makes it a lot less scary for Monster. That's one of the changes that like it has like a rippling effect. So very, very good change. Really happy about that. All right, Monster players will now see a hit counter next to each team player's HUD card. Sorry. To remind them of how many times they've hit each team. So like you could previously check through tabbing like how many times you've hit the entire team, and you can still do that. But now they have a little indicator under each person's health. And of course, you can't see their health, but under each person's portrait that says like how many times you've hit them. So it'll say like 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll just go up the more you've hit them. And so you get an idea of like who has like what amount of health. You don't see exactly how much health they have because they could eat chompy bars. They could have other perks. But you can tell like who is more likely like going to die. And so you can make more informed decisions based off of that, which is good. It's a good change. Because previously, like, you could track it just in your head, but this makes it just something that you could track as just like part of the HUD. Makes it less stressful. And then now, team players are now able to see the icon of which weapons other teams are crafting on their player card. So previously, it would just show like a hammer and wrench, I think. But now it'll actually show which weapon you're crafting. It'll have like a little thing that's flashing, and it'll show like this person's crafting a ray gun, or this person's crafting a shock sphere, or it'll show you exactly what weapon they're making, which is really nice for solo queue experiences, or really just team experiences in general, because there are some times to where like I'm crafting a fire weapon, and I'm making a solar flare, and somebody else is making a fire weapon. I don't know what they're making, but if I see that they're also making a solar flare, I can go, okay, I probably shouldn't make a solar flare. I should probably make like something more aggressive. I'll make a Molotov instead. I'll make a firebomb. That way we can have something that is defensive as well as something aggressive that I'm making. And so that makes like the solo queue experience a lot better. Very good change. All right. And then the Mousetrap Prize will now only choose a maximum of 3 teens that will spawn next to the monster instead of all 4. Still a very strong prize. So basically what it does is if the teens do not run a prize that changes their spawn, then they will spawn next to the monster if the monster runs the Mousetrap. But now, instead of it spawning the entire team by the monster, it'll spawn a maximum of 3. And so obviously you could have nobody spawned by the monster if everybody runs a spawn prize. But if nobody runs a spawn prize but the monster, the Mousetrap obviously, then only 3 maximum will spawn. Which, still very strong prize, but it is nerfed because that was... It's extremely strong to be able to spawn in, immediately transform, and then just start smacking people. But now at least you have one person that is going to be able to, like, out of the gate be making a weapon while everybody else is, like, running around like rats. Now, on the next change, teens now see the aura of medkit stations within 6 meters of while injured. It's very good for new players that are getting into the game. It helps them, like, figure out where they need to heal. Good change, in my opinion. Chompy bars now provide the fed status that will gradually restore life over 8 seconds rather than instantly. This life recovery can be interrupted by monster attacks. And so the reason why they're doing this is because the way that chompy bars were used, if you don't know what chompy bars do, they give you health back. And so the way that they were used previously is if somebody was... Let me break out the epic bit again, because I don't know like how much you guys like know about the game, all of you guys that are watching. So previously, like you would have a health bar and it'd be filled all the way up, and then there would be a point on the health bar to where, like, let's say like right around here, around like 15-20%, to where if you had like 15-20% health, you would be entering into the like critical state. I forget exactly what it's called, but essentially it means that if you go down with this amount of health, you will die. You'll die, and you'll have to wait for the Book of the Dead. The Book of the Dead's already used. You're out of the game. Now, and like what people would do is they would get to this health and they would tank the first hit, obviously, and then when they were injured, they feel like they're about to go down. At the last second, they would eat the candy bar so that they would go above the critical, and they would get hit and they would just get slugged on the ground instead of dying. And the devs didn't really like that. I guess they thought it was like kind of cheap, but didn't feel really good to play against. And so now what they're doing is when you eat a candy bar, it'll slowly fill over 8 seconds. And so you could still like get out of like the critical zone. It's just when you go down, you lose health. And so like previously, like if you eat a chompy bar, you would like go up here and then you would lose this chunk of health, and then you would still like you would start losing health from like here on. But now with the new system, let's say that like hypothetically you eat the chompy bar like right before the monster hits you and you get just out of critical. Now you will lose this health, and you will, instead of like being like right here, you'll instead be like right here, and you're just like seconds from bleeding out. And so it makes it to where even if the person gets out of critical from eating the candy bar, if they don't do it in time, then they're just gonna die really fast anyways. And so it's a good way of preventing people from just eating it last second. Now, of course, people could still eat it while in chase, but the interesting thing that this creates is there could be a team that is hiding like next to the monster, hiding in a room. They think that the monster's gonna see them. They eat the candy bar, and then the monster doesn't see them, and they just wasted it. And you get in like situations like that where it is more likely the candy bar will be wasted, but the candy bar is still a strong item. So I think it's a good change. I think it still leaves the candy bar in a strong place while not making it like as annoying to play against. Very good, very good change. There's now an audio cue when you eat a chompy bar. So yeah, like even if you're in a room like hiding from the monster, if you do it, Sarah, like, he's gonna find me. He's munch, and the monster's like, hey, somebody in here. So yeah, there's even more reason like they're a little bit more dangerous. So good changes. I think this is really good changes in general. The speed at which monsters vault is increased by 15%. This is huge. So people previously in the closed beta, they were really scared when they were vaulting because they felt like they're very exposed. This 15% increase is a lot. It honestly feels, it may not be, but it feels playing like you're vaulting as fast as the teens. And so when a teen vaults, you're right on their heels. And so them rounding around to come like hit you, they cannot do that as easy. Because when they vault it, if you're right behind them, you're vaulting it as well. And when they turn around, you guys are nose to nose. And you may be wondering, hey, did they change the high school? Because the high school bathroom windows were a very contentious thing. They did not. Those windows are still there. They reduced the RNG elements of that. They moved around some of the props. They made it less of a good ambush spot, if that makes sense. And in combination with the vaulting speed, I think it feels really good personally, but you guys will have to try it out yourselves and see how it feels. Me, personally, I think it was a good change. But again, you have to try it out yourself or see what it looks like. You guys don't have a key. The curse station has a new crafting sound that is less noisy and it makes it easier to hear the detention track. So previously, the curse station was the loudest, but now they've made it less quiet, or they made it less quiet. They made it less loud, and it's more in line with everything else. So like previously, like it was like the laughing and the baby crying and like the demonic sounds and like the goat and everything. But now it's a lot more timid sound. It's still like cursed sounds, but it's a lot more in line with like the hammering and everything, which is good. It's a good change. Increase the speed of animations when interacting with lockers for both monsters and teens by 20%. So you get both into a locker and out of locker 20% faster, and the monsters also open and close the lockers 20% faster, making it where both sides aren't exposed for as long when they're trying to do those animations, which ends up making a more like experience that it feels better because it's instant responses. And then when determining the spawn position of the Book of the Dead lockbox, it will now no longer spawn or choose spawn points that are very close to the starting position of any teen player. So teens can't just like spawn on top of the box anymore and then immediately loot it and then immediately have out of the game or out of the gate because it's very, very strong, immediately having the revive mechanic. Of course, you can still stumble across it, but you'll no longer spawn immediately on top of it. Good change, because that's a very strong start if they find the Book of the Dead early. Lockbox and the Book of the Dead now have visible particles emanating from them when you're dead spectral. So when you're dead and out of the game, a lot easier to find them because not only do they have the audio cue of the whispering, but now they have a visual cue as well. When you are slugged on the ground and you're floating around just trying to recover, you won't have those visible particles. You won't have the audio cue, but when you're dead, you will have that. It's good. Teens carrying the Book of the Dead will now see the auras of dead bodies up to 10 meters away. It's very good for solo queue experience. The first dead spectral to ping the lockbox will now get 500 grit points bonus, and the lockbox aura will now become visible to all team players for the remainder of the match. So this makes it to where previously you would have to ping it and 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 ping it, and then you would accidentally go back to your body, and they'd be like, "Where's it?" And you could be like, "Oh, 1 second, I gotta go back to it." And then you'd ping it again and keep on pinging and pinging. But now if you ping it once, if you're the first one to find it when you're dead, you get extra points. And then after you ping it once, then everybody else can see the aura of the lockbox. So you don't have to continually keep on pinging it. Very good change. Very good change. Very good quality of life. Now station icons are now color coded on their borders to make them easier to see and sort from a distance. More easy to discern like what is what. It's a good change. When controlling the RC Flyer, Infernal Eye, or Spectral, your own room label will now show where that is rather than showing where your teen body is. So previously, if you were controlling an RC Flyer or Infernal Eye or a Spectral, of course, it would just show where your body's position is. But now, if you're controlling those things and you're moving around the map, people can more easily like tell you where to go because they know where your weapon is. Very good change, in my opinion. Sorry. New music tracks were added to play at the end of the match. Cool. Add a new scoring event, Retaliation Attack, which awards onslaught points to the monster if they hit a teen after recently being damaged or chased by that teen's weapon. It's cool. More scoring events. That's always good to see. Reduce the distance at which monsters can hear teens breathing if they are uninjured by 50%, making more incentive to heal up rather than remaining injured. It's good. Adjusted the hit detection for monsters' attacks to address an issue where the monster's reach was sometimes greater when not centered on the target. It's good to see. Better feedback on hits, obviously. Added off-screen indicators to the auras shown by the monster perk body count. So, like, when you get value out of the perk, it'll show you, like, hey, it's in this direction. It's good to see. If the crafting timing minigame is aborted due to the teen player being forced to stop, being hit, disrupted, etc., it'll no longer trigger a blunder. So they'll no longer like have the progression penalty, and they'll no longer like reveal their location if like stuff like that happens, which is good. So like if you get howled by a werewolf, for example. And then change the default binding for keyboard/mouse users for a healing minigame from spacebar to mouse 1. Good change. So these are all really good quality life changes, and the gameplay changes I think will make the game feel a lot better to be played. Again, the Rift mechanic I think is a good direction. I think it's a good change. Will it be the final change for the Rift? I don't think so personally, but I'm happy to play it more around with it. I'm happy to hear your guys' feedback. But oh, is that the end of the changes, TricksterShadow? No, there's more. There's a lot of changes. Now weapons, and I know this is gonna be a long video, but I'm really happy like how much they've changed. It's really nice to see developers taking so much of the community feedback and actually putting it into changes that feel like it feels like they care about the game. It feels like they care about the community's feedback. It feels like they've actually tested a lot of these things and like thought about, oh, like how's this gonna be for both sides. I'm just gushing about this game and the dev team. I'm really happy about them. All right, for weapons, there is now a brief travel time for the cross light beam rather than immediately dealing damage to the maximum range. So previously, with the way that cross worked, it was the first weapon that you would be able to make for the holy weapons for the purify. And so previously, like if you were right here as teen, and then if you had the cross, it would immediately do a cone, just like immediately get hit detection as soon as you pressed M1. Now the way that it works is it'll still happen really fast, this cone, but now the way that it works is it starts at you and it gets bigger over the span of like it's like less than a second. But the thing is, in this game, seconds matter, and a second could mean the difference between like you getting the damage state, you able to hurt the monster, and you getting hit. Because you got to remember these monsters go really fast, especially like werewolf, and so this could make a lot of difference. So I changed that up. It's a good change in my opinion. They also updated the Enigma absorb charge curve to give it 10% more energy at maximum distance and ramp more smoothly to higher charge amounts. So they made it just easier to charge up the Enigma, essentially, rather than it just taking like 15 years. That's a good change. The time required to for the previous sentry to be dismissed when deploying a new sentry when the solar flare or with the solar flare has been slightly increased. So if you're setting up another sentry when you already have one set up, there'll be a little bit of a penalty for you doing that. It's a nerf to the solar flare, making it to where it's like less powerful, but it's still really powerful defense weapon. It makes sense why they did that. In my opinion. Added the option to dismiss all active solar flare sentries by pressing the primary fire button while the player is beginning to deploy a new sentry. This option was previously only available for the Flame Charmer mod. That's good. This like kind of goes hand in hand with the change that makes it to where it takes longer to deploy a sentry if one's already deployed, making it to where like you can more easily get rid of them. Makes sense why they're doing that, in my opinion. And now weapon mods. The cross mod saving grace now protects the user both while they are firing the cross and for 0.08 seconds after firing. That makes sense. So like if somebody's firing the weapon and they feel like they can maybe like get away, like run away a little bit, and they still get hit, they still get the buff from the mod, making the mod more worth running. And then increase the hollow ground cross mod range bonus to 20% from 15. And I believe that is the one where it makes you like you have to stand still when you're firing. You can't move, but now they're buffing the range, and it makes sense why they're buffing the range since now it takes longer for it to go out. And so they're doing some changes like in corresponding with the base change. The Divine Light mod now reduces energy consumption by 20%, down from 25, and increases the time it takes for the light beam to reach maximum effective range by 0.2 seconds, rather than the warm-up time. So that is substantial, because that makes it to where the monster can get closer to you before you can actually start dealing damage. And so they're balancing these mods, like they were saying before. They're trying to balance on the mods to where instead of they're just an obvious choice for what you run, there's like different play styles. There's different reasons to run different mods, which I'm happy to see. I think it's a lot better. There's always going to be a meta, but I'm happy to see that they're trying to like combat the meta by making things a little bit more interesting. The On Fumes Flamethrower mod energy consumption penalty has been reduced to 70% from 85. And so I believe On Fumes, and again, this is me like going off of like memory. I believe On Fumes was the one where if you were injured, you would passively get charges back. And so, and like the penalty was that when you're using it, you would consume charges really fast. And so they're making it more viable to use. Very happy about that change. That's something that I would use a lot, even if it wasn't like as good. I really enjoyed using it, so I'm happy that they buffed it a little bit. The Burst Energy Ray Gun mod range reduction has been increased to 75% from 70%. So they're changing like the effectiveness of it, making it a little bit more. You got to be a little bit closer before you're able to use it. Makes sense. I believe the burst energy. Again, I'm going off of what I remember. I believe burst energy gave you health back when you hit ray gun bolts onto the monster. Could be wrong, but I believe that was the one. So that makes sense why they changed that, because they changed the health a little bit with the chompy bars, so people may gravitate towards it. There's now a particle effect that plays when teleporting using the second sight mod for the Infernal Eye. All right. Solar Flare mod, and if I skip these, it may be because I don't remember. It's been a while. I'm sorry. I'm trying to like provide commentary for the things that I do remember. The Solar Flare mod, Revelation, now reduces the charges consumed while the Solar Flare is warming up prior to firing by 50% in addition to other effects. Nice. The Cursed Sword mod, Swordsmith now adds an additional 3 swings down from 4. So they nerfed it a little bit just because 4 swings is pretty substantial because you can kill the monster in like 2 or 3. The Enigma mod, Demonic Pact, now increases the craft speed of the Enigma by 15%, down from 25. All right. Infernal Eye mod, Stare Down, now reduces the energy consumption by 15%, down from 20. A sound and effect will now play when the Holy Staff mod, Miraculous Recovery, restores life. All right. Increase the Holy Slingshot splash damage radius by 2.2 meters from 2 meters. So splash damage radius, if you're curious what that is, the Holy Slingshot, you at base, you have 2 ammo. And when you fire it at base, if the actual ball sticks to the monster, it kills the monster. Or gets rid of their armor, or whatever. But like it sticks to them until something happens. But the splash damage is, say if you hit like a wall, if you hit a wall, then there'll be a radius around it to where if the monster is within the radius, then they'll start taking damage, and then it'll go away after a few seconds. And then of course, like the monster can like walk out of it. But now they've increased the radius, making it to where it's more effective if you like hit the ground. It's more likely that you'll be able to actually like kill the monster, because the slingshot is a very risky weapon to use. So it makes sense why they're buffing it in that way. The additional stun time from the slingshot mod, Stunning Praise, has been reduced to 25% from 30. The RC Copter mod, it just made it to where like you would stun longer, really. RC Copter weapon mod, Longshot, downside, has been changed now to expose the user when the monster gets within 15 meters of them, rather than the copter is within 15 meters. Okay, so what they did is long shot. I forget exactly what the buff was, but essentially like the downside of it is if your helicopter was within 15 meters of you, then your position of like you controlling it would be revealed. But now if the monster gets within 15 meters of the body, then they'll be able to see exactly where the person is. So it's cool. Adjusted the Fastcraft mods, Crucifier, Stunning Victory, Cheap Fuel, and Cursed Blade to now increase crafting speed by 10, 15, 15, 15, down from 25, 25, 25, 25. So they're making it to where those mods aren't as good to use. And the reason why is they would just, if you were in like really intense matches, people would get a stigma on that certain stigma type, like on the Purify, and then you'd have that one person crafting cross after cross after cross after cross, and it would get very oppressive as monster. Just having like every time you turn a corner, that same person has a cross, they'd use it on you, go back and then make another one pretty fast, and then come back, use it again. And so it makes sense why they're reducing the effectiveness of that to make it to where people run other stuff, obviously, and so it's not as oppressive. All right, the Holy Staff mod, Beacon of Light, now uses a different color aura to let injured teens have a better idea of why they can see the teen carrying the staff. So they're changing the aura, like the aura color, from like the other aura colors that are normal that you see from like perks and stuff like that. Now they're making it to where there's a special aura color specifically for the Beacon of Light. And that is the one, it reveals your aura to anybody that's injured to kind of like signify like, hey, come over here and let me heal you so I can charge my staff and use it. So that's good. It's a good change. Increases the firing angle spread of the ray gun mod forked by 4 degrees. And so the forked was, it would shoot out 3 shots in a fork pattern. So like what they would do is they would have, instead of it being like 1 shot, it would be 3 shots that were just like right next to each other. And now essentially all they've done is they've made it to where these shots are a little bit more spaced apart, making it where like closer to you, you can do like a lot more damage, obviously, because you're getting multiple shots in. But further away, the groupings are a little bit further away, and so the groupings won't be as effective at a range. So that makes sense why they're doing that. Still a very strong mod. All right, and then perks. So many changes, so many changes. The teen perk healing hands, healing speed increase has been reduced to 6, 12, 18%. So obviously like level 1, 2, and 3 from 8, 16, 24%. All right, so less fast healing. Magic Touch revive speed has been increased. Our speed increase has been reduced to 10, 20, 30% from 25, 50, 75%. All right, so picking people up off the floor. The teen perk Silent Shadow now states that it prevents a crafting blunder to make its interaction with the ambush more clear. So that's the one that if you miss a skill check, like you're not revealed. The teen perk low profile now requires that teen to be unarmed to provide the crouch movement speed. So you can't just be like crouching around with a weapon and then pop up. And I've seen some people not really like this change. I understand why they did it, because they want the monster to have that audio feedback so that they know that they're going to be ambushed. And so they're really just trying to give like the monster like more chances to be able to actually like counter people's ambushes rather than somebody being a rat and just like crouching around and they pop up. So that makes sense why they did that. Sucks, but it's understandable. The teen perk Born Tough. Now this was a controversial perk. Now Born Tough, if you forget what it did, it granted additional life, like it says, and it previously granted 8%, 16%, and 25% more life for the entire match. Now they're changing it to where it grants 10, 20, and 30% more life for the first 180 seconds of the match. So instead of it just giving you a flat more health, now it'll only give you more health for the start of the match. And the purpose of this, it's definitely a nerf. The purpose of this is for like if you get caught out first, now when you go down, you'll just, instead of you losing like from your like normal base health, you'll be losing from the Born Tough instead of you losing from your normal base health. So that's a good change in my opinion. It makes that perk a lot more balanced, and it makes it still very usable. There's still reason to run it because getting caught out first really does suck. Still very powerful. Still very, very powerful. The teen perk Never Say Die, prone life reduction or life reduction to 9, 18, 27% from 10, 20, 30%. So this one would make it to where you just don't bleed as fast. And so instead of it making 30% like slower bleed, now it's maximum of 27%. The teen perk Vice Grip rank 3, another controversial perk. Now it costs 12 perk points, up from 11. So essentially, Vice Grip makes it to where when you go down, you don't lose your weapon. And then Vice Grip 1 and 2 have like requirements that like so many people have to die. Vice Grip 3 has no requirements for anybody to die. Just the first time you go down, you keep your weapon if you have a weapon. And instead of like changing how the perk actually works, they're upping it by 1 perk point. And that 1 perk point may not seem a lot, but that can change the entire dynamic of your build because you only have 30 perk points to use. And so them changing a perk requirement by 1 or 2 points can completely just upend your entire build and make you have to reconsider like what you want to spec towards. And so this is a big reason why I like their perk point system, because this is a very interesting way to balance perks without changing their actual values. So I'm happy to see that they did something like that. We'll have to see like how it plays out. We'll have to see what the effects of it really are in like the meta with them changing the perk point value. The monster perk Ambush states that it now exposes teens that triggered a crafting blunder to make its interactions with Silent Shadow more clear. All right. The monster perk Lethal Weapon now only increases the life lost when an injured teen, or when injuring a teen, rather than both on injury and knockdown. And so Lethal Weapon, another it's a controversial monster perk this time. So Lethal Weapon previously it would just do more damage. You just run the perk and you do more damage. Now the way that it works is it only takes away more health. It does more damage when a healthy person gets hit. If they are injured, they do not take more damage. So that is a nerf to the perk, obviously, but it makes it feel better to play against, which I think is the biggest thing at the end of the day. Because if something doesn't feel good to play against on either side, then it needs to be changed, in my opinion. If something doesn't feel good to play against on the teen side, or doesn't feel good to play against on the monster side, it needs to be adjusted and try to make it to like a better experience. Because at the end of the day, games are for fun. And I think this is a good change. Still makes the perk really strong. You're still doing more damage at the end of the day. It's just you're not doing as like heavy of damage because you're not damaging them more on the injuries as well. And even then, like on the injuries, that doesn't really matter because if you hit somebody that's injured, they're gonna get knocked down and they're gonna bleed anyways, so they're still gonna lose a significant amount of health. So good change. I think that's a very smart change. I'm really happy. The monster perk Easy Target now has a cooldown of 120, 90, 60 seconds, up from 90, 70, 50 seconds. So they increased the cooldown on Easy Target, partly because I'm guessing because everybody ran it. That was the one to where if you had 3 people or more group up, then you would see their aura. So it makes sense to why they're changing it because just how good the perk is. Monster perk Hidden Agenda will now expose the aura of the hiding place for 2 and 0 seconds. Again, tier 1, 2, and 3. Down from 7, 5, 3 seconds after the team leaves it. So this was a Doll Master teachable, and essentially just would show you the aura of a locker if somebody had like left it recently. And now it just at level 3, it just immediately shows you. It just immediately, as soon as the person presses the button, it's like, hey, somebody's coming out of this locker. Good change in my opinion. Monster perk Deadly Bite now has a cooldown increased to 150, 90, 30, up from 60, 45, 30. So this makes sense in my opinion because now people will be eating chompy bars earlier, and so you're going to be able to get the value of the perk more often. And so it makes sense to why they're changing the perk that would show you the aura of somebody eating the chompy bar because the dynamic of the chompy bar is changing a little bit. Makes sense why they did that. Monster perk Body Count will now expose prone teens that are 20, 20, 28 meters away, up from 12, 20, 28. However, rank 1 will only function when prone teen is moving. Rank 2 will only function when the prone teen is moving or controlling spectral. So that is very interesting because they're making it to where like there's different reasons to run like the rank 1 or rank 2, although they have the same effect. And then rank 3 will have like both those effects. And so that's very interesting. I like how they're messing with that perk. And if you don't know, they expose just essentially when somebody's knocked down, you can see their aura as monster when they're crawling around. But it's interesting how the aura changes with the aura reading. All right, now does the Doll Master changes. Doll Master's Tricky Mutation has been modified so the traps will now only turn orange when a teen is running within 11 meters of them. In addition, while the doll trap aura is orange, observant teens will now be able to see the doll traps twitch. As now there's visual feedback of what mutation the doll master has, and that they know that you're by their doll. And now it only turns orange when somebody is running by it. So if they're not observant, so you can't just like put a doll in a hallway and then know when somebody is getting close to like disarm it, because you get like the additional like aura reading information, or not aura reading, but like you get the additional information from the dolls that tells you like somebody's super close. So now only when they're running, it'll tell you that they're super close. So that's good. It's a good change. Makes it where you have to be more observant with Doll Master, but it makes it where you can't just like more easily just like teleport and hit them because you know that they're right there. I like that change. Makes playing Doll Master actually a little bit harder, but I think it's justified. And now speaking of playing Doll Master harder, the minimum number of doll traps the Doll Master can be reduced to is now 1 instead of 2. So if you don't know, whenever a doll dies to a weapon, you lose that doll until you hit somebody. Every time you hit somebody, you get a doll back. And so now, instead of you going down to a minimum of 2, you go down to a minimum of 1. This makes it to where if you're playing Doll Master, you can't just tank weapons as confidently. You actually got to think like, am I going to be screwed if I just eat this weapon? Very, very good change. Makes it to where Doll Master is more punished for dying to weapons as dolls, which makes a lot of sense. I think this is going to be really good for like the Last Stigma Doll Master, because previously the Last Stigma was really hard to do. Last Stigma is still going to be really hard to do playing as Doll Master, but this makes it a lot more manageable, in my opinion. All right, added a new power to Doll Master, removed Doll Trap. I ate Taco Bell. That's why I'm like beating my chest and everything. I'm dying over here. So I'm sorry. Added a new power to Doll Master, removed Doll Trap, allowing them to remove selected traps from the map without reducing their doll count. His power can be used while the doll master is banished. So essentially, if you have a doll that is in a location, you know that somebody is going to remove it, you can just press the remove doll button and then it'll just explode the doll and you won't lose that doll. Very good change. Very good quality of life. And then the doll master haunted mutation, it now shows the aura of the teen when the trap is alarmed for 3 seconds in addition to other effects. That's cool. You're buffing alarmed. The Dollmaster Frolic mutation now increases doll position time by 25%, down from 35%. So Frolic, you can't use the doll for as long as you did previously. It's good. Good change in my opinion. Dollmaster Outcast mutation now reduces the required teleport focus time by 15%, up from 10%. All right, buffing Outcast. Nice, nice, nice. The Dollmaster Aggressive Teleport mutation will now reduce the cooldown of the next usage by 13 seconds. So the aggressive teleport mutation was like if you teleport and hit somebody, you immediately get your teleport back. So now instead of immediately giving you back, it'll just put it on a 13-second cooldown instead of the longer base cooldown. So that makes sense. So the Dollmaster can't just like ping pong around the entire map, hit the entire team. He actually has to like slow down there, buddy. Like give him a little bit of time to breathe. Still, you get the teleport back really fast, so it is worth doing. It's just you can't be as much of a crackhead about it. Added a new icon that plays when a teen is being chased by the doll versus being chased by the doll master. So you get a little icon that like informs people, like when you're in solo queue, especially, hey, this person's getting chased by a doll, I should help them, or they're getting chased by the body, I should spawn my RC copter, stuff like that. And then the last thing was Doll Master reduces the max height of doll jump from 70 centimeters above the ground to 50 centimeters above the ground, made it a little easier to hit with certain weapons. So instead of the doll being able to like jump around and be able to like fly through the air and you not be able to hit them with the ray gun as consistently, now you may be able to hit them more consistently because their hitbox is gonna be generally the same area instead of being like in varied heights because of their jump. So it's a good change in my opinion. I think very good changes to the Doll Master. Of course, I got to play them. My opinions may change about these changes, but I think playing them more, I'll be a little bit more informed. Be sure to let you guys know how I feel about all of these changes after I played against a lot of them a little bit more, obviously, than outside of the playtest that I've already done. All right, with Werewolf. The Werewolf Berserk power now additionally grants increased movement speed while lunging by 24% and while recovering from missed attacks by 14%. So when you're berserking, when you're going faster, you get faster recovery attack just while you're using the power. So they buffed his powers. That's really good. His berserk power. Werewolf can now no longer use berserk power for 3 seconds after hitting a teen. All right. So if you down somebody, you gotta wait like 3 seconds. So you can't just down somebody and immediately berserk and down somebody else, and immediately berserk and down somebody else, and immediately berserk. I gotta slow down there, buddy. The Werewolf Berserk power increases the range at which teens can hear the potential track by 5%. So essentially, the faster he's going, the further away people can hear it. Good change in my opinion. This is actually a change that I was like saying and needs to be added. So I'm happy to see that they actually went through with it. Change the Werewolf's Howl base countering duration to 8.5 seconds from 8.3. So they make it to where like you're unable to use your weapon for a little bit longer if you get howled. It's good, in my opinion. Change the Werewolf Rabid mutation cooldown reduction to 15% from 25, and the range reduction to 10% from 20. So make it to where the range reduction isn't as penalizing, and the cooldown reduction isn't as good. So they're making it to where it's like you still get a faster cooldown, but you're not as penalized in the range. And so it's a good change in my opinion. Previously, it was you got to be pretty close to the people because of the range reduction. 20% may not seem like a lot, but it's a lot when you're in the match. Rework the Werewolf Savage mutation to now reduce the required focus time after escaping weapon damage by 80%, down from 100%, and the increased required focus time of Howl otherwise by 30%. So this was if you took damage, even just like a millisecond of damage, if you got around a corner and spammed the button, you'd immediately be able to howl and immediately be able to run out and get people. So now what they're doing is if you take damage and you duck around a corner and try to howl, you'll still be able to do it really fast. You get 80% faster focusing time. But if somebody is in position and they're still damaging you and you just barely get away for a millisecond, there's a little bit more time for them to be able to actually continue damaging you. So it's not as good. They nerfed this perk, not perk, but power part of their kit. And I think it's justified because Savage, there was no reason not to run Savage, and it's still gonna be really good. But they're making it where like if it's a perk that like you feel like you're gonna run just because of how good it is, a little bit more balance to it. Makes sense. Change the werewolf's nightmare mutation berserk duration increase from 40%. From 40. Or wait, increase. Change the werewolf's nightmare mutation berserk duration increase to 40% from 50%. So they nerf the duration, and the reduction to movement speed to 15% from 30. So you can't go as long with it, but you don't have as much of a speed penalty. So this is one where you could like just go for longer with the berserk, but now they're making it the speed penalty as penalizing. So it's a good change in my opinion. In all honesty, this is probably a buff to this instead of like a nerf. It's a really good change. Change the Werewolf Grim mutation to no longer immediately refresh the cooldown of Berserk on expiry, but instead set the remaining cooldown to 2.5 seconds. So this was, I believe, with Grim, when you activate it, you could just infinitely like Berserk around the entire map. So now, even when your Berserk runs out, you'll be able to get it back, but pretty fast, 2.5 seconds, but you won't be able to do it immediately. So there's a little bit of a window where you're slowed down where people can ambush you. Change the Werewolf Vicious mutation to now set the remaining duration of Berserk to flat 6 seconds rather than the 6 seconds to the current duration. So this was the one where if you down somebody like while you're berserking, I believe, you would continue berserking to add on 6 seconds. So they're just changing how it works a little bit. Rework the Werewolf Howl Thunder mutation to now deafen teens for 4.5 seconds and increase the Howl cooldown by 20%. So previously, Thunder would slow down people, it just reduced their movement speed, but now it'll deafen them to where they can't hear where the werewolf is coming from. So that's a very sneaky mutation. I'm very curious to see how people use that. All right, changes to the Wart, final monster. When weapon damage is applied to the wart while armored and leaping, the leap shockwave will now occur, but it will be reduced by 40%. So previously, if the wart was leaping at you and you hit him one time with a weapon, he wouldn't have the the shockwave. But now he will have the shockwave, even if he gets damaged. It'll be reduced. So there's still a reason to like stop him while he's mid leap, but it doesn't completely counter his entire leap power. Change the War Echolocation Deafen mutation to now prevent the use of acid armor for 4.5 seconds, in addition to canceling any active armored status. So that's good, making it to where you have to deafen before you can armor, instead of like armoring and then deafening. Just changes the dynamic of like how you use your powers. Add a new sizzle effect that plays when the wart hits a teen while the toxic acid armor is equipped. So toxic acid armor, you do more damage when you have when you're armored and you hit somebody. So now people have a little bit more feedback of like why they're taking more damage. So instead of you having to guess. The wart acid armor mutation life loss bonus when hitting teens while armored has been reduced to 8% from 10%. And using acid armor will now prevent you from using elite power for 4 seconds. All right, so got to be a little bit more strategic with it because you are reducing more of their life, and so that's a very integral part of the game. And so they're making it a little bit more in line with like all the other changes to the health mechanic. It's good in my opinion. Change the warp bombshell mutation drawback to increase the cooldown of leap by 35% rather than increase the focusing time. It's a good change, in my opinion. I believe the bombshell it was an increased radius. I could be wrong. I believe bombshell was like an increased radius, so like the area of effect of like of the slow was increased. It's a good change. Change the wart throttle mutation drawback to increase the focusing time of leap by 35% rather than increase the cooldown of leap. So this one made it where like you could leap more often previously, but now the focusing time, like you still get like a reduction of I believe throttle was like you could leap more often. I could be wrong. Again, I'm very rusty, but sounds like a good change. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to go off like things that I remember. Teens can now see if the wart is using a detect mutation based off the colors of the after image. So again, more feedback so you know exactly what the wart is using instead of you having to guess. Now you can see it like, oh, I'm like there's like a little bit of a lag with like the after image, so he's using the mimic, or he's using detect, so he knows that we have weapons, and it's cool. It's good quality of life. The movie task to affect a teen with the wart's echolocation while they are nearby now specifies how close the player has to be in meters. Good, more specification. The wart will no longer be interrupted while focusing the acid armor and echolocation powers when falling from a height. That's good. Change a movie scene task that requires wart to use 3 rank 3 perks to requiring equipping exactly 3 perks instead, so it can be completed without having to play other monsters first. That's good. And then bug fixes. Of course, everybody loves bug fixes. Fix an issue where the RC flyer could be hit by the monster from further away than intended. All right. Fix several issues where the RC flyer, Infernal Eye, and Solar Flare could be deployed through thin obstructions such as metal railing or bounce over some objects that weren't intended to be flown over. All right. Fix an issue where the Holy Staff was able to heal yourself as quickly as heal others. It was intended to be at the same speed of Medkit, so nerfing the Holy Staff the way it functioned before. It's okay, because you're still able to heal yourself, so it's still very strong. Fix an issue, and you're able to heal yourself away from medkits, so it's still really strong. Fix an issue where monsters could have trouble hitting teens that were crouched at a lower elevation to them on stairs, even if they were aiming down. Better hit detection, that's good. Fix issues where the front end music would not retain their volume setting after returning from a game. It's good. Fix the issue where the doll trap could become alarmed when starting to move to disarm the doll from maximum distance. Fix an issue where breaking war's armor was awarding grip points when it was supposed to be rewarding fight. It's good. Fix an issue where the enigma causing it to sometimes not absorb at the very edge of its track, audible distance. Fixed a bug where the Holy Staff mod at Miraculous Recovery would activate when at critical health and prevented death. Fixed an issue where the Dollmaster aggressive teleport, where aggressive timer window not reset properly after the first time it triggered. Fixed an issue where the aura reveal of the monster perk ambush would not reset when a teen was hit. Fixed an issue where the monster player couldn't examine their loadout on the tab screen at the start of the game prior to transforming. Fixed an issue where the monster could not see the teen's health bars, or fixed an issue where the monster could see the teen's health bar prior to transforming by viewing the tab screen. Fix a bug which allowed the doll to use a jump power while attacking or recovering from an attack. Cool. A lot of changes. It's a hefty patch. Over the past few weeks, we've had a small group of testers playing through the Steam build. They're providing feedback on the changes as well as reporting bugs to ensure the build is in a stable place. But we aren't stopping there. Should you have feedback or find something that isn't quite right, let us know. And they're linking not only to the Discord, but they're also linking to like a bug report form. So it's good. So if you want to report bugs, you just go on the Discord and go to this, and you can report bugs through this link. And again, I was one of the testers, and a lot of bugs were found. It was a very good idea that they did it because they smashed a lot of bugs. They did a lot of work. And to give you an idea of how hardworking these devs are, there would be days where there would be like 2 or 3 builds that they would go like, hey guys, we're new build, got to update. And then like a couple hours later, hey guys, new build, you got to update. And they were fixing problems super fast. These people are really on top of it. They seem like they really know what they're doing, in all honesty. I was really impressed with what I was seeing, like being involved directly with their fixing the bugs and then working on the game. And then closing notes. We've been seeing messages about communication on the return of the beta. Given the plans to return to the beta this week, we wanted to hold off on providing any updates on the chance that we ran into any issues. Though looking back, I would like to acknowledge that an update in the midterm would have helped ease anxiety between then and now. As always, we strive to be as transparent with the community as possible and will continue to do so going forward. From Sam. Very good person. A very, very lovely person. So yeah, they wish they could have communicated more, but like the thing with video game development, it's just sometimes stuff takes time. It just takes work. You just got to put your nose down, you got to work through it, and eventually you'll get through it. And so I am honestly really happy with these changes, really happy with this company, really happy with these devs. Phenomenal people, phenomenal work, phenomenal developers, just phenomenal in general. I'm really happy to be getting back to VHS. Now TricksterShadow. What does this mean? Does this mean that like you're going back to streaming VHS full time? You're going back to uploading videos? Yes. I don't know how quickly I'll be back to uploading videos because I don't know how much content that I'm going to get in the following days with everybody activating their keys. But I will start uploading videos more consistently. If you noticed, I haven't really been uploading videos because DBD just isn't my passion. At one point, I did like DBD, and I've been forced to come back to it, obviously, because VHS was down. But I don't enjoy the game as much anymore. Not saying that like VHS and DVD are like 100% comparable, but I just like the direction the VHS is going. I like the game. I have fun with it. They're very different types of games, though. But if DVD ever like becomes place that I enjoy again, I could see myself going back to it from time to time in between VHS. But I expect a lot more uploads soon because because VHS is coming back, and I can't wait to like go through this journey with you guys and continue to grow the channel. If you guys didn't know, my channel went from like 2,000 subscribers to 12,000 over the course of like 45 days because of VHS. I experienced like 2 million cumulative views in about like 45, 60 days because of VHS. And I am excited to see where we go from here. Even if we don't like have like as explosive a growth, I'm just happy for you guys sticking with me. I'm happy for you guys, or happy that you guys are just sticking with my content in general, just even watching my videos. And I'm excited for the future and excited for VHS. So I will see you guys in the next video. I will see you guys on stream where I'll be playing tomorrow, the 27th, when they give access to everybody. I'll be on as soon as I can. And yeah, goodbye, everybody. And I'm happy to be back. Bye bye.